Good morning and welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Actually, focus today. We've morphed over. Focus today, and I have a special guest. This is going to be a fascinating two-segment series for our show today. Justin Torrence is with us. Is this your first time here in Medford?
It is.
Medford area? Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be around here for a while, and we're going to tell you why that is, because he's part of making a movie. And it's fascinating because, Justin, I don't know if you heard it this morning, but we had a news report about another movie that's going to be made here in the Medford area. It's called In God's Grace. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know if it's a religious movie or anything like that. The title almost sounds like it could be, but who knows. It's a fascinating thing to see independent, especially independent movie producers coming to this area to kind of ply their craft, because you've got the rural area, you got kind of some city type things, and you've got a well-rounded range, I guess, of shots that you can make. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that. You are here for, it's kind of tying in with, we've had Rush Benke on, who's been tied in with Youth with a Mission. You're a part of that. You're here to also raise some funds for a movie you're going to be making. I want to get more into the details of that, but I think the background of why you are here, I think, is important to set the stage for what we're going to talk about. You're here to raise funds to make a movie. Is that what it comes down to?
In part, and also to raise up a fan base.
Okay, this movie is about what that you're wanting to make?
The movie Day of War is the first of 3 films in the Line of War trilogy, and it's a series of films about King David and his battle-ridden journey from being a shepherd boy to a king, him and his mighty warriors, and all the trials, the ups and downs, and the victories they went through. All
right, so this is a Bible-based movie.
It is,
on actual events, right?
Bible-based movie on historical events, correct.
Okay, you know, I think back, let's go way back to some of the epics. I think of, well, Cleopatra was kind of a story about the Bible. It had Moses in it. You had the 10 Commandments. You know, all of these took their own liberties, but they had kind of this biblical tie-in. And so we think of the epics of it all, but I was thinking a few months ago, not knowing what you were going to be doing, I thought, you know, there's so many more great stories that have not been told, especially in the Old Testament. We've seen some miniseries on Paul, the Apostle Paul, as I recall, a few years ago. But I'm thinking there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff about the great stories, and they're not just stories that actually happen to people that need to be shown, because basically we have a biblically illiterate populace, I think, in the United States. Why are you making this film anyway? Why did you think of going back to do this?
Well, it's exciting. I'm not the official filmmaker. I'm working with him.
And you're, because there are a lot of people in the role. Your role in this trilogy is what?
Right now, I'm the tour coordinator for the Line of War crowdsourcing tour. So it's my job right now to be on the road in Oregon, in Colorado, in Chicago, in Atlanta, in Texas, and wherever else I may go, to spread the word.
And get a fan base.
And get a fan base, right? And we want to help people know that the project's out there, because we know that people are excited about it. I've talked to countless people. When they hear about it, they're like, man, I've been wanting something like this to come out for years. So they're super excited. So we want to just keep spreading the word to more and more people. Yeah.
So this is going to be a 3-part, is this like a movie at a theater type thing, or is this made for TV, or what?
No, it's set for large-scale theatrical release. Yeah, it's going to be, you know, similar to the release of films like, you know, 300 or Gladiator, or those types of films.
We're talking about that level?
Major motion picture, correct. Yeah.
Wow. Because those were big budget films.
Those are large budget films, yeah.
You know, I was just reading back, if I can pull this out accurately, when 300 came out, there were a whole lot of other movies that didn't want to open on the same day, because they knew that this was such a unique and never seen before kind of a movie. And that was based on not a biblical thing, but on history as well.
Right.
Is there a draw for these movies at this point? I mean, you must think there is, but I mean, I guess how much of a draw is there for Bible-based films at this point?
It's interesting that you asked that. You know, this film has been in development for a couple of years, a year and a half, 2 years, around 2.5 years maybe, from the time that they, you know, received the rights to make the book, which is written by military officer and historian Cliff Graham. He wrote a series of books called Line of War series. There are 5 books in the series, and this is just the first book, and we're going to make 3 movies out of the series. They attained the rights for the book back in 2010, wrote a script in 2010, so it's been in development since then.
That's actually a fairly short period of time, isn't it, for the way some movies are thrown out there?
We've been hustling.
Yeah, I'll
been
bet.
working hard, and you know the people that we have leading the team, David Cunningham, Grant Curtis, these guys are Hollywood professionals. You know, these are not guys that that just decided to make a movie someday. They've been working hard in Hollywood, going through the grind, making great movies for years and years.
Now, David Cunningham, of course, our audience would know that he's associated. He's Lauren Cunningham's son, who's with Youth with a Mission. We've had Lauren in. Yeah. We'll have to get David in one of these days. But David also worked on like Spider-Man movies and so on. What
he didn't. Grant Curtis, his co-producer.
Okay.
Yeah, they formed a company together called Giant Killer Pictures, and this film is being made through that corporation, through the joining of those two guys together. Grant Curtis is one of the producers on the Spider-Man trilogy, which is one of the most money-making films of all time. So it's, you know, they're not moving from that Hollywood model down to something else that's going to be lesser. They're taking what they know and bringing this story, being told on the big screen, up to that caliber. So it's going to be on the level with these films that come out that these guys have worked on in the past. And Grant right now is currently finishing working up on the prequel to The Wizard of Oz called Oz the Great and Powerful, coming out I believe early 2013.
You're right. You know what? I think
James Franco and Mila Kunis and some others. So.
Yeah, I saw something on that. I don't know if it was on YouTube or where it was.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, we're not talking about guys who say, "I've got a garage, you've got a camera, let's make a movie somewhere."
Not at all.
These are guys who know what they're doing.
They've been through this before.
Any idea what the budget is for these kinds of films?
We have an idea. I'm not at liberty to speak fully about it. All I know is that it's going to be. We have found ways, and this is part of what we're seeking to do. We want to not just make one film well. We want to pave the way to make many films well. And we know that to do that, in order to make that happen, we need to find ways to do things as economically as possible. So how do you make a large-scale film with the same, time-tested ways that Hollywood has learned work well, with those same ways, but saving money? And we've been working on ways, our team has been working on ways to make that happen. So,
one thing that we've seen is here at theDove, and we've had a few people go through an internship, and the more that can be formalized, the better. But we're seeing that there are a lot of people who either complain about what they see at the screen, or they do something about it. And very few people can actually do something about it. And we're kind of hoping here at theDove, of course, that we can become that basic training grounds to get people to say, you know what, I like this aspect, or here's something I didn't know that I was actually pretty good at. And then they can move and infiltrate and bring their worldview with them wherever it might be, whether it's Hollywood or wherever else it might be. And it looks like you're kind of moving in this mode, but you're kind of having to build it from ground floor up. It's not like you have Skywalker Studios or something that you can actually use from. So are you grabbing people who are in the industry who have caught the vision to be able to work with them to build these, make these movies?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the key things we've realized, and somebody used the analogy in our office recently. In order for us to do this well, we need to not move as one massive ship, but as many motorboats, as many speedboats moving out.
That's an interesting analogy,
Yeah, so we've really worked on gathering a lot of good partnerships. And one of those partnerships is University of the Nations, Youth with a Mission. This film is not being made by them, but we're being able to use facilities that they're in the process of building right now. So we're not going through a studio model as far as executives go, but as far as resources, we're going to have the resources of a studio at our disposal. And University of the Nations is dedicated to continuing to go out and to affect the world in good ways. So they're building these modes to do that.
Well, and we've also highlighted that building construction, 30,000 square feet of this huge building, and I mean the vision is terrific to train people in an environment where they can use the best technology and the best movie making. I guess you'd say theory, putting it into practice and all the rest, and that is terrific. I've been fascinated to see how films are being made these days that are so different from before. I was reading about George Lucas doing the first Star Wars, and he had to they invented a camera for him to be able to use, and the thing was ridiculously expensive, I mean, one of a kind, and that became the standard industry. Now I know Peter Jackson doing The Hobbit, he's been given I think it's 15 combinations of the Red One cameras that he's using. He has to use 2 of them for 3D, and he's being given them. But the quality is so good and the price is so cheap that now you can make a film you never thought you could before, just because the technology has really made it possible. Do you find that's the case for the movies you're going to be making?
Yeah, it's true. And the difference is the experience part, and thankfully guys like Peter Jackson and Lucas and all these guys have the experience, as well as David Cunningham and Grant Curtis. You know, there are some interesting media pieces out there that talk about those things. You know, everybody can get a high-definition camera and start shooting a film. But what's going to make it explode into a box office hit is the experience part. People who have the experience to tell a good story artistically, and that's the difference that that people will see that we're fighting for in this. We're not preaching a sermon with the film. We're telling a true story with the film, and we're going to let the story do its own influencing.
Okay, and for people who've tuned in, we're talking with Justin Torrence. He's a tour coordinator for the Lion of War Road Warrior tour that's going on. And the Lion of War is the trilogy, right, that's been written. Yeah. And for those who haven't read it, in summary, what is the story being told in the Lion of War?
That's a good question. Lion of War is the story of King David and the mighty warriors that were around him. There were these mighty 3, and then a little bit wider circle, these mighty 30 warriors. And you know, it's funny. People have compared the film to something like 300, and it's interesting. The story, you know, the Spartans, they were said to have, you know, killed thousands. You know, with these 300 men, and they could take on an army of thousands. It's historically recorded that David, with his people, could take on tens of thousands. You know, like these mighty, mighty warriors. So it's the story.
It's historically based.
It's historically based. Yeah. It's an action adventure film, live action. So, you know, actors and the whole nine. This is not an animated film. The story of King David being a shepherd boy to fighting Goliath. We're not going to give a spoiler as to what happens with that one.
Okay.
And then all the way to the time he becomes a king, you know, and all the assault that he faced along the way, the ups and the downs, the woes and the victories. So I'm excited to see it made.
If everything you wanted to know about movie making, Justin can talk about a new film that's coming out, and really behind the scenes. I mean, you're getting involved in some training here that you couldn't have been told in school about, or anything else, rather than just by doing it, because you're helping to create a movie, a trilogy actually, called The Lion of War. It's a trilogy. You might be familiar with it. And you mentioned during the break, the website is lionofwar.com if you want to find out more information about this whole series going on, about the real life of King David, right? From when he was young.
From the time he was a shepherd boy to the time he became a king.
All right, and it's one of the stories that I don't know certainly hasn't been effectively shown. You know, there may have been some cartoon versions of it or whatever. But if you've ever thought there are so many great Bible stories that haven't been told, that need to be told to an audience who has no idea who King David was, I think we have too many assumptions that people know about. You know, who Solomon was. I don't know, Solomon. I'll nod knowingly, and I have no idea what you're talking about. So you might be introducing people to some stories in the Bible that they wouldn't have otherwise heard about. I want to talk about the approach that you guys are taking with this movie, with this trilogy. I want to refer to it as that because I think of, let's go back to Peter Jackson, and I think a lot of us, The Hobbit, now that it's a 3-parter. I think it's a 3-parter. It was going to be 2, and they decided 3. It's amazing that they can do that midway through. But like with Lord of the Rings, he filmed all of the movies at the same time, not sequentially, so that, you know, the problem would be with, let's say, 2 years between movies, you'd have an aging Frodo. That just wouldn't look right. But he's the same age because it's the same quest. Are you guys going to be trying to film these 3 at the same time, or is that not a relevant aspect?
Well, to my knowledge, we're not going to be trying to film all 3 at the same time. Obviously, it is in the best interest of the film to do them as close together as possible. So
try to have the same actors though in each one. Is that part of the idea?
Yeah, okay. I'm sure that, you know, as the storyline continues, there'll be additional players, but that's kind of above my pay grade.
Yeah, okay.
To know that
Just
information.
I'm trying to get the behind the scenes stuff.
That's a good question. Yeah,
and you say there may be some webisodes also on this
there are some webisodes coming out, some behind the scenes stuff about the music. We have one of the best oud players in the world. It's a Middle Eastern instrument that's going to be doing some soundtrack
What
stuff.
player?
Oud.
Oud players?
Yeah, I think it's spelled O-U-D.
Oh, really?
And he's a friend of ours, and so there's going to be a webisode coming out soon about his music, and so you can get a sneak peek as to like the sound, and as these things come out, you kind of get more and more of a feel for the film. So
now, and as I think you're getting the idea that this is not just a backyard production. This is. Let me give you some of the information I have here on the people involved in this. Grant Curtis is producing it. He was involved. Was he producer of Spider-Man?
He was one of the producers for Spider-Man trilogy.
Okay, the trilogy. Also, a movie that's coming out in just a couple months, Oz, the Great and Powerful. You might have seen the trailers for that. He's a producer of that as well. David Cunningham, who Did he produce To End All Wars?
He directed and produced To End All Wars.
Let me just say, without
well.
without parsing these all out, he was also involved with The Path to 9/11 and also The Seeker. You might have seen that one as well, action adventure. I haven't seen that yet. I need to Netflix that one, I guess. John Fusco did the screenplay, worked on the screenplay with Young Guns 1 and 2, Hidalgo. I think an underestimated movie, really. It kind of came out, and Forbidden Kingdom. Jackie Chan, was he in that? It's a martial arts thing, right? Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about people who have been around the block a few times and know what they're doing. And so this is going to be, this trilogy is now starting, and where are you going to do the filming?
We're going to do it all on the big island of Hawaii. Obviously, there might be some exterior shots we do
and why
on location. Well, for a couple different reasons. First of all, it's right in our backyard. We're based in Hawaii, near Kona there. And the landscape in Hawaii is so unique because 11 of the 13 world climate zones are present on that one island. So you have world-class hotels for housing your talent. You have, and we're actually helping to build infrastructure right now that can support, much like Peter Jackson had to do when doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There wasn't a self-sustaining film industry in New Zealand when they started that. They built that in order to accommodate. So much to the same respect, we're actually doing the same thing right now in the big island of Hawaii. So you have world-class hotels. You have all these vast terrains and landscapes, and it's great for filming. I mean, in the summertime, it's arid and it's dry. You get long daylight hours. We don't have daylight savings time there, so it's just a really ideal location.
And it's deserty. It's
desert,
rainforest.
You have rainforest. We even have a mountain with snow on top of it. So we have everything you can need. And then as well, it becomes such a way to give back to the people of Hawaii. And this is one of the things that is really on the heart of the director that he really is passionate about, really wants to see happen, because he grew up in Hawaii, and he wants to see the people of the land be able to make a good living. And it's hard to live in Hawaii. It's expensive to live there, as people can imagine. But these are people whose families are there. And so to be able to train people up and bring in professionals as well, we're not just pulling some guy off the street, but where possible to draw in people from the island that are able to learn how to work in films, and then to create that self-sustaining film industry right there on the Big Island.
Well,
that's one of the goals.
That's cool. Now, of course, with every production like this, the costs are going to be really high, and you're actually looking for people to partner with you, right?
Yeah, we are.
Elaborate on that. Because normally producers don't say, I'd like to open this up. Anyone who wants to help invest in this film, you're welcome to. But you guys are kind of doing that,
Well, there's always room for investors in films. I mean, a lot of times, studios are the investor, and I don't claim to know all the backstory with how the finances work inside Hollywood. But we are making this film independent from any major studio, which is going to give us the freedom to keep to the integrity of the story. And that ball is going to be in our court, which is what we want to see happen, because we believe in the story, and we want it told well. We want it told accurately. So, we're able to do that, to show the supernatural elements of all this crazy stuff going on, because we're going to have control of the story. But yeah, there is room for investors in the film still. It's partially funded, not fully funded right now. So if people are interested in investing, they could definitely contact us through the website, lionofwar.com as well.
Okay.
But right now, the tour that I'm involved in is crowdsourcing. People have seen this through websites like Kickstarter, where people read about the project, they get excited about the project, they believe in not just the movie, but in the movement, and they want to give in $10, $100, $1,000 to see the project happen, because they want to see it happen. The more we realize that people were getting behind this as a movement, the more we realize, let's give these guys a chance to be involved. So especially as we continue to get an investment base built up, we want to keep moving forward with the project. We want to start filming and finish filming by the end of 2013, which is right around the corner.
Yeah, it is.
So in order to keep doing that, we've developed the film. We have the world-class script. We have all this world-class stuff in place, and now we're ready to start building props and sets and costumes. And by people going online to lionofwar.com and saying, you know what, I want to give $150, or I want to give $10, or I want to give $1,500, that can help us continue to move forward. They can be a part of the film, which is not really something that people can say, I helped make that movie happen, I helped pay for that scene. And we even have an opportunity, as people always ask, when they find out you're working with movies, I want to be an actor, or how can I be in this?
Yeah, I'm sure you have a few of those.
Yeah, and I'm asking the same question to myself, I'm like, man, how can I be in the movies, But, there's even opportunity, if you want to die in a battle scene, if people give $2,500, we're saying, you know what? Why not? We're going to be killing so many people in this movie. Come on in. We'll kill you off too, you know? And so this isn't like you're buying a reward, you know, but you're saying, I believe in this. I want to partner in it. Just like so many people that work on the project, we want to see it happen. And in return, we get to give you something. I mean, you can get a prop from the film. You can get a signed book by Cliff Graham, the author of the series. You can get all this other stuff. So just check out lineofwar.com. Spread the word, and that's part of it too. We want to let people know they can give, and also that they can support us by spreading the word.
All right, that's great. And go to that website, lineofwar.com, find out more. Justin, thanks for being with us. Keep us up to date with the progress of this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thanks for joining us. We'll be back with more on Focus Today here on theDove.